So originally, the company was set up to provide independent research about the Chinese investment market to global clients. So our clients, for the most part, over the last 20 years have been large banks, fund managers, insurance companies, what have you, that are looking for an independent voice about what is actually happening. So our value, if you will, is we provide very quickly, if something happens, let's say in the industry, we'll write up what our thoughts are and we'll send it out to clients. That has changed in the last 18 months, where our client base now is beginning to expand beyond that group of clients, where American groups who have been reading, let's say, the news in the United States or have been talking to people about China, hear nothing but bad things about China. Typically, China's economy is going to collapse, all of these things about the government, what have you. But it's reached a point now, what I find fascinating, that all of these stories and all of these headlines, people are starting to ask, is this true? Because you hear it over and again, but it doesn't happen, or something else is out there. So we're getting clients that are saying, look, we want to engage with you, we want to work with you, just to talk to you every month or so. We want to get your ideas of what's happening. Is what we're reading true? Is there more to the story? So the way that I describe it now is, you can critique China, most certainly. You can critique any country. But when you look at the critiques of China, I have found that they are not necessarily wrong, but they are woefully incomplete. And my or the company's role is to try to help them fill in that picture. So my daily life, I like to refer to it as I'm a firefighter. And what do I mean by that? Typically, my day is broken into two. First part of my day is emails. I will get emails that will come through from people that I know, clients, even non-clients, people who are in some way related to me through business back in the United States, saying, oh, I saw this happen, or there was this news. And as you probably can appreciate, here we are in April of 2025. There's a tariff war going on. There's a lot of US-China friction. So I have to answer emails. I have to schedule appointments. And then what I try to do is keep my appointments sometime in the afternoon. Sometimes they're in the morning, because if you are an American company, you're 12 hours time difference. But my job is to get on phones. I do a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of team calls, and I talk with large groups to help them better understand what is actually happening on the ground here in China. Well, if we look at the economies, I think, and I've always considered this to be the case, that the Chinese and the American economies are very, very complementary. You have an extremely developed, world's largest economy, which is the United States. It has developed to the point where much of the manufacturing has been moved to China. The United States is now about servicing. It's about experiences. It's a normal progression that you would see in any economy that is, 200 years old now in terms of the US. But at the same time, China, which has become the manufacturing capital of the world, everything for the most part is manufactured in China and exported to the United States. The unfortunate development of that relationship is many people over the last 30 years in the United States have lost their jobs. This is one of the reasons why Donald Trump has become so popular, is because he's recognized what the issue is. I disagree with his solution, but ultimately, China has created such a powerful economic engine of manufacturing over the last 30 years. And it's not about low prices. It's about quality. I mean, now we're at the point where China is out innovating the United States. Not but a few months ago, everybody was talking about DeepSeek. So is the question right now that I'm having to answer, does China need America more than America needs China? And really the answer comes down to both countries need each other. And ultimately, what I'm hoping will occur is that both countries will recognize that they are peers, and that when you're a peer, you're going to have to respect one another. That means the United States has to respect China for where it is today. China also has to respect the United States for having a different culture and a different economy. I'm hopeful that's the direction we'll go. Oh, I have a lot that I can. It's not about the advice, actually. One of the things that I have found is I continue to have to work on my communication skills. I have an enormous amount of experience, and I don't think China's a difficult place to do business. It's getting the client to understand what it is that is necessary to do the business in China. You have to adapt. I continue to tell clients that there are very clear, but very different rules of engagement to be successful in China. Most of the companies that I work with, that we as Zebin Advisors work with, are large global institutions. It's hard for these companies to be able to change. And it doesn't help that I come in and say, this is so easy. Do this, do this, do this, do this. I joke, I use the reference of Don Quixote. You know, Don Quixote is a story about a man who used to ride on a donkey tilting at windmills thinking they were dragons, right? I continue to tilt at those windmills. So I'll repeat, I think, again, that number one is you have to trust your local team. That's the biggest problem. I find a lot of times local teams will come to me and say, help us better communicate to our bosses. And I try to do that. But it is a two-way street again. Like, the bosses have to understand that micromanaging your team here locally, what that does is it tells the local staff, I don't trust you. Now, of course they trust them, but that's not the message. And the unfortunate part is these local teams that I work with, all they want to do is help build this company into a success. So that's number one. Number two, humility, humility, humility. Come to China, relax, have fun. It's a new culture. Be humble about the experience. The Chinese are some of the most amazing people in the world. They're not really that arrogant, contrary to what people say. You know, they certainly have face issues, but let's be honest, don't we all, right? We all want to be respected. So come in, enjoy, understand what all the differences are, live the experience. There are more examples I can give you than we have time for today. I can share them perhaps in another video.